Today we are in Studio 9000 and we got to do a little work on the 9000 console. Don't necessarily have to do a ton of work on this console usually because it's a great console and you rarely ever have any problems with it. But we did have an issue where the air conditioner went out in the machine room and the heat in there ended up causing 2 of the power supply modules to go down. And we lost a few things on the console. The cool thing about the way this console is built is that it's built with all kinds of different modules to keep things running. So what went out was our digital power supply, 2 power supply modules in the digital rack, and there's 5 of them in there. The one that went out controls the moving faders, so that these faders move by themselves. And it also controls the fans within the unit, so that's what keeps everything cooled down in it. And the other one that went out actually controls the meter, so you'll notice that none of the digital meters are up. We still have the analog VU meters and they work, but the digital meters are all down. So what I got to do is I got to pull these power supplies out and then I have to send them off to Texas to get them rebuilt. So that's what we're going to do today is take them out. And like I say, the cool thing is the console still runs without these. We just don't have these particular things working. But we're still able to pass audio. We're still able to do what we need to on the console as far as any kind of audio work. So we're going to go into the machine room. It is loud in there, so hopefully you'll be able to hear me well as we're talking about it. And we're going to take these 2 modules out and get them packed up to send away. Let's do this. All right, so here we are in the machine room. This is what we're going to work on. This is this whole rack is the SSL. You got up here is the computer. So this is the center section computer, whoops, for all of the power supplies. So all the power supply modules are within here. Our digital light is off, that should be on. And both our 14, this one's blinking, this one's completely off. These are our 14-volt rails. This is the 2 power supplies that are out. That's what's being controlled here. So as you can see also the lights are out on A and E. These are the 2 power supply modules we got to fix. You can see all these other ones are on, all these are on. This is the analog rack, so this is channels 1 through 48 analog. This is the other channels, 49 through 96 analog, and this is all the digital stuff. So like I said, this first module controls the meters. And the second module controls, or this last module that's out controls the moving faders and these fans which are not spinning. So because these fans aren't spinning, I have this fan set here to keep air pushing through here to keep this stuff cooled off. Because like I said, the reason these died, I believe, is because the air conditioning in this room, which is currently set at 58 degrees, went out, and the heat built up in here, and I think it killed these modules because of that heat. And, it's 96 degrees outside, all this heat building up in here, it gets super hot in here and humid, and I think it killed those 2. So we're going to shut all this up down because all the noise is coming from this. Pull this rack out and we're going to yank out these 2 modules. All right, so let's get to it. All right, so we're going to shut this thing off, get this out of my way, because I'm still going to have this running while I'm getting the modules fixed. I'm going to stand out of the way here. All right, we're going to shut everything off. First though, I got to go mute the speakers so we don't pop those. So we're just going to mute the big speakers so that we do not make a huge pop, because as soon as I turn this off, it's going to make a very large popping sound. All right, so let's shut all this off. First we're shutting off the computer, then we're going to shut off the entire console. Much quieter. All right, so I've already been inside this rack to see what was wrong, so I already have it loosened up and I can just pull it out. These things are really cool. They weigh a ton, so they got them on these slide rollers so you can just pull it right out and it doesn't fall out. And you can pull out and work on it. All right, so it locks into place and I'm good to go. So first thing I got to do is take this cover off. All right. So our first one and our last one are bad. So we need to pull these out. And like I said, I'm going to ship them off to get them repaired. So you want to get a shot down inside of there. Back in the old days before phones, man, I always had to draw a picture by hand with a piece of paper. We're just going to take a picture. So I'm going to take a picture of all my connections. It'll take about 6 weeks to get these done. I'm not trusting my memory that long. So it's taking a picture of these wires so I know where they go back. Like I say, this is all power, so it can be dangerous. But we got everything set to where we can take these things out of here. All right. So we're going to take these wires off first. And then what I'm going to do, because I got to cut this thing back on, right, and run it. Because we still want to be able to work in here while these things are being repaired. And like I said, we can still work, we just won't have the meter. The same thing, it'll be working like we are now. I'm going to put tape over these things so that they don't short against anything just in case. They shouldn't, but I always want to be safe. And the nice thing is SSL, when they put these things together, they tie everything to length. It's super advantageous when you put things back together and stuff like that. It can be a pain if you need to move things around and stretch them to other places, but you know, generally it works to have them cut to length like this. So what I'm going to do is just label each of these so I kind of know where they go. Call that one the front one. All right, so to get these out of here, they're attached from the bottom. So I got to get underneath of here to remove all of the screws that hold that in. Now the fun part of this, it's easy to get these things out. Putting them back together, that's where the fun comes in. All right, so we got to take all these out too. Forgot about these. We'll cover. Cut these loose so we can get to the wires, because we're going to have to pull this up to get to it. Cool thing about this is they're slotted, so they're easier to get out. But still, not the easiest thing in the world to get to. So there's all those wires. Get those back over here out of our way. Now we should be able to pull it out of here. All right, so we got one out. So this whole unit will be sent back along with this one. And they'll take the whole thing apart and they will rebuild the entire thing. That is not my skill set. I leave that to the people that know how to do this stuff as far as that goes, but I can take them out and put them back in. All right, so there's the first one. So we got to do the same thing on the next one. Then we're going to tape off these wires so that we can turn the console back on and keep working. All right. So I'm just going to use some electrical tape to tape over each one of these connectors to prevent anything from shorting out situation if these things shorted out against the chassis or something. So these are the little bushings I was saying. This is what those power supplies sit on top of. Then screws go through the, ow, son of a bitch. That's still got a charge on it. All right. So this is what they sit on top of. And then the screws go up through these, and that kind of isolates them from the chassis. So that's what those are for. Moving on to the next one. Keyshawn says my hair's in the way, so I got to not do that again. I have to take it apart without my hair in the way. Doing the same thing on this one. They're the same exact part number, so it doesn't really matter. They're identical. So the wiring's probably pretty close to the same. All right. So after a nice little ass kicking by that thing, we got it out. So that was because the screw here, that middle one's all stripped out. So we're gonna have to replace that screw. It's the middle one. It's all stripped out, so that took a little bit of effort to get that one out of there. But we will replace that screw when we get it back. Okay, so we got all this done. Now we're gonna tape these off like we did the other ones. And then we're gonna power this thing back up. And hopefully it's gonna just operate the same as it has been without the power supplies, as it was with the burn up power supplies. And so that everybody, you know, I tested these power supplies first before just guessing that they were bad, just to make sure there was no bad connections or whatever. But I tested across the voltages, and they were definitely dead, both of them. So, all right, so we tape off these. And the reason there weren't two wires in this, like, you know, we had two wires in that one for each of those, was because this is the first one, so they're jumpering down. So we only got one of each wire. On this end, they were off, so I was like, all right, well, the first thing I need to do then, if they're off, is open this up and test them and see if they're actually putting out any voltage, and that it's just not some freaky light thing, you know, like the lights are just not working right. Because like these, all of these lights can be adjusted to whether they're red or green, so you know. So you can tweak all of these. That's what the little hole is for. So you can tweak these, and sometimes it's nothing. You know, I've had before where this thing wouldn't even come on, and all it was I had to just spray some cleaner inside of this switch, and it made it work again. You know, but sometimes these lights, you know, you can adjust these, but these are to tell you the power status and what's not working. So when the digital rack isn't working, you know something's wrong in here, right? And then the 14-volt rails were not working. So, all right. I think we got everything. Does it all look taped up? Let's see. I think we got everything. We're just gonna push all this stuff down out of the way. So we're gonna go check the console and see that everything up there is still working like it's supposed to. Well, this gave me an error at first, this one, but then it went away when it just kind of, see, is giving that error. Then it goes off. These are blinking now. It's because the power supplies aren't there anymore. There we go. All right. Yeah, so one thing I don't like about it is they got these tiny little levers back there that you got to push down with your fingers. End up taking a damn finger off. All right, so we're gonna go check the console. All right, so let's play something and just see if we're getting audio through here. All right, so we're still getting audio, so we're good. We're functioning again in the same manner that it was functioning in before. So we'll send those power supplies off, get them back in 5 or 6 weeks, and do you a new video putting them back in, and hopefully get the console back like it was before.